This machine is a lot of things, but one thing it's definitely not is a 5-head motor. And a 5-head motor is what you would typically use to produce flooring like this. If, like me, you don't have a 5-head motor, but you do have equipment like mine, or even equipment as simple as a track saw, a thickness planer, and a router, or better yet, a router table, you can produce flooring just like this from rough sawn lumber. If this is something that interests you, stick around and I'll take you through the steps needed to take this and turn it into this. Where I live, I can't just drive down the road to a shop where I could have this material milled up into flooring. On top of that, the amount I need would make the setup cost for the molder as much or more than actually running the material. So with that in mind, let's get into it. To start with, I'm running the rough sawn lumber over the jointer to get a nice flat surface on one face. The material I have is nicely sawn and I could just as easily put it through the thickness planer to get it surfaced on both sides. However, using the power feeder with the jointer makes easy work of getting the first face nice and flat and will ultimately give me the best finish possible. I check every board for the grain direction by running my hand over the rough sawn surface. The direction of the grain on top of the board should be in the opposite direction to the feed. Once all the boards are face jointed, I run them through the thickness planer to produce a nicely planed face, parallel to the face that was planed on the jointer. As the boards come out the outfeed side, they're flipped end for end to ensure that when the board goes through for the next pass, it's then planed on the opposite side and with the grain running in the right direction. It takes me 2 passes through the thicknesser to get to the 3/4 of an inch that I'm after. I'm able to run this machine at 6 or 12 meters per minute, and here I'm running at 12, which while still producing an amazing finish, is a bit fast for one person, and ideally I'd have someone on the outfeed side catching the boards for me. The next process is to put a straight edge on the boards. The 10-foot slider makes easy work of the 8-foot lengths, but this could easily be achieved with a track saw. After ripping a straight edge, I can make a parallel cut with the fence. When all the boards are ripped to the same width, I can move on to the process of putting the tongue and groove on each edge. I'm using the shaper for this, but a router with the correct bits or even a table saw could be used to achieve the same thing. The first cuts I make are for the groove, and here I have the power feeder running into the shaper fence. I'm not only cutting the groove, but I'm also taking 1 millimeter or 2 off the rest of the edge. That way when the flooring is laid, there are no gaps. Well, I'm not sure where my apprentice is, but I'm pretty sure if he was here, not only would he be doing this, but he'd also remind you to subscribe. Setting up for the tongue, I use an outboard fence and run the power feeder angled towards it. By doing this, I can take a little bigger cut and ensure each board ends up exactly the same width. While I could set up some guarding and feed this material by hand, whenever possible I try to use the power feeder, as it not only makes the job much easier, but produces far better results and makes it much safer. The final passes over the shaper are to put a series of relief cuts on the underside of the boards. This minimises any cupping once the boards are laid. Well, there you have it. While producing flooring isn't difficult, it does require a number of different processes. Per linear foot, it's a lot slower doing it this way than with a moulder, but for this small amount, it works out to be cost effective. If you have any questions, please drop them in the comments section below. And again, if you haven't already subscribed, please do, as it would really help me out. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next video.